What up, cinema subtext? The new Doomsday trailer. Lord, so sick. So this one is going to be specifically about who I believe is we're seeing Captain Hydra. So there's a lot going on. They've been teasing, they being Marvel and the Russo brothers. They've been teasing a lot about all these things like pay attention, these are clues, da da da. And I want to go back to the teaser that dropped. That was Steven Rogers' teaser. It shows him with his child, all that. And at the end, it says Steve Rogers will return in Avengers Doomsday, which is a very specific choice to say Steve Rogers, not Captain America. Why? I think that's because Captain America is not in Avengers Doomsday. I think he will be in Secret Wars. Who is in Doomsday? Steve Rogers, aka Captain Hydra. There is a whole line of comics where he is Captain Hydra instead of Captain America. Same, he takes the serum, all that stuff. And so what we see is Thor coming up and he's all, it's not possible. And then he already has Mjolnir in his hand, and he just opens up his hand and it flies over to who we see, Steven Rogers. And he says, hey, pal, I don't think that's actually him in the trailer. I think he doesn't say that right there. I think that's like a voiceover that they added in specifically for trailers, which they do all the time. It shows Steve Rogers holding Mjolnir again. And again, Thor was freaked out. I mean, he was terrified before even releasing Mjolnir. Why would he be scared? Right? I mean, he's already seen Captain America wield Mjolnir. He's seen him call down the thunder and the lightning and do all kind of crazy stuff. To include, he went back in time. He went back into his own timeline, spoke to his dead mother, saw himself, right? He saw himself, I'm pretty sure, and then gets Mjolnir back. So that's already crazy. So seeing Steve Rogers hold Mjolnir, no, that's not shocking to him. What I think is shocking is the fact that somebody Thor knows to be evil is worthy of Mjolnir. Now, how is Captain Hydra worthy? Dr. Doom uses magic and runes, right, to do all kind of crazy stuff with reality. And there's, I think her name's Madam Hydra. She uses magic and does like a spell to allow Captain Hydra, Steve Rogers, to wield Mjolnir, because it's not about being worthy at that point. It's like what he believes in is worthy. Like he's like his confidence, something like that, right? And I'll have to adjust that. So that is what I think is happening right there, because when we actually look at Steve Rogers, I mean, he looks different. Like he's even his smile, I mean, look, we'll go back. He has long hair. He has like the long emo hair like Bucky, right? Kind of like the evil Hydra thing. I say this and I have long hair. It is what it is. So Steve has long hair. His eyes look green. They're blue. But they just look green in this. Maybe I'm just seeing things, but I swear there's a little bit of a green hue, like a little greenish tint when he's on screen versus when Thor's on screen. And he's wearing all black, all black, which is, again, I don't think we've ever seen Steve Rogers wearing all black. Captain America didn't even wear all black. He had his like suit and his armor that was, I think, was like dark navy blue, maybe some black, but all black is, like, none of this stuff is by chance, by mistake. It's not. Everything means something. Everything. What they're wearing, what they say, what they don't say, the music, all of that, it all means something. And I want to hit on Chris's face, Steve's face. Whenever he looks at him and he just smiles, there's this like sense of mission accomplished. Like he's just like, yeah, I'm home, Mjolnir. So if Thor is aware that that is Captain Hydra, why did he just give Mjolnir to him? Big question there. What's he doing? So that's odd. I cannot wait to see what they do with that. Um, and then so more to this, I was going to say second part, but even more hinting that Captain Hydra is in Avengers Doomsday, not Captain America, is the art. Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans were at CinemaCon, like 6-7 months ago, and they were discussing the trailer. They released the trailer. It was like a private thing to the people that were there. Even quiet, damn dog. RDJ is in a black suit with like his green Doctor Doom, the whole thing. Chris Evans is wearing a red shirt, blue jeans, and white shoes. Red, white, and blue. However, he's wearing a green jacket, which is Doctor Doom's color. Just the overall color of Doomsday. Even Hydra is a black and green. I mean, there's in the comics and the pictures, there's red and black that Captain Hydra wears, but then there's also a black and green. And I mean, Captain Hydra was in fact in the credits of Avengers Endgame, where it was like showing the pictures and the artwork. It shows Captain America standing like this, but then below him, as above, so below, the shadow of Captain America. Shout out to Carl Jung. I'll have to do a whole thing with that. The shadow is Captain Hydra, and then I believe it flips, and then it shows Captain Hydra on top. So I think they're telling us, they have been saying it in plain sight, blatantly obvious what is going on, and that is Captain America is not in Avengers Doomsday. Steve Rogers is Captain Hydra. Something else I wanted to say is what Thor says. He says it's not possible. And the last time he said that was when he threw Mjolnir at Hela to take her head off, and Hela just boom stops it like a toy. And he was like, "Oh, it's not possible." That was a terrible Thor. It's not possible. That was even worse. Anyways, Hela destroys it. And so that's the last time he said that. Hela stopped Mjolnir. Like it was a toy. And so that's the first time that has ever happened to him. Nobody's ever done that. They stopped Mjolnir. That caused him to say, it's not possible. So him saying it's not possible to Steve Rogers before letting Mjolnir go over to him, it's got to be something huge. And again, that's why I believe Thor knows that that is not Captain America, and that's Captain Hydra, who should not be worthy enough to hold Mjolnir or wield Mjolnir and its powers. But the fact that that Captain Hydra does, I think, is going to shed some kind of more tragedy onto Thor, because this whole story is tragic. Like maybe, he, like Mjolnir and like his being worthy wasn't all it was made up to be, or I think it's gonna mess with his head a lot. Unbeknownst to him, though, it's because either Captain Hydra or Mjolnir has a spell or a curse over it which allows those two to match. And I think it's going to be crazy. I think Avengers Doomsday is going to be crazier than any of us even think. I think there's a lot that's going to happen that's going to be just shock after shock after shock. And worse than Infinity War. I think Thanos coming was just, I mean, they lost, they lost. There he is right there. He wasn't wrong. Thanos was right. But him coming and snapping, obliterating half of all creation, I think just is nothing compared to what Doom is going to do. And I'm here for it.